Hello everyone, welcome to SJ's classes. Today we will read a one-act play written by an Indian theatrical performer, a cine artist, as well as a playwright. We will read the play Matsyaganddhi written by Sajitha Madathil. Before we move into the play, let me introduce to you the playwright first. Sajitha Madathil is an Indian stage and film actress. She has appeared in several films, mainly in supporting roles. She was introduced to theatre through the street plays which were organized by Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad and also through the performances for various women's groups in Kerala. She is one of the founders of Abhinetri, which is the first women's theatre group in Kerala, which was formed to explore the potential and possibilities of women's expressions. She has also scripted three plays, the first being Matsyaganndhi that came out in 2002. Then came Changi Changaran Family Reality Show in 2007. And finally, Mother's Day in 2010. Kali Nadagam is her latest play, which was written specifically for a theatre production. Let's also look at some of the other important published works of this writer, and they are Aranginte Vagabhedangal, which came out in 2012, Malayala Nadaga Stree Charitram, 2010, a biography of Kerala Sangeeta Nadaga Academy, which was published in 2010. She first rose to prominence when she essayed a pivotal role in the 2012 thriller movie Shutter, which won her the Kerala State Film Award for Second Best Actress. Some of her other significant cinemas include Niralkuttu, which came out in 2002, Adimadhyandam in 2011, Agam 2013, Nadan 2013 again, Nyan 2014, Kismet, which was screened in 2016, and finally Vishwasapurvam Mansoor, which was screened in 2017. Besides acting, she has also served as the Deputy Secretary of Sangeeta Nada Academy and the head of the Department of Acting at the K.R. Narayanan National Institute of Visual Science and Arts, which is an autonomous institute established by the government of Kerala. In 2000, she won Kerala State Television Award for the Best Current Affairs Program and also won Best Children's Documentary Award by Kerala State Council. So that was an introduction to the playwright. Some of the important details that I wanted to share with respect to the literary and biographical details of Sajitha Madathil. Now let me give you an introduction to the play that we are about to read. This play materialized as a part of Theatre for Africa, which was an international collaborative theatre project in connection with the Earth Summit 2002 held in South Africa. And this particular event focused on sustainable development of fishing communities. Sajda Madathil was one of the six actors from six continents who were invited to be a part of the project. She had earlier done some extensive documentation on the lives of fisherwomen for a program for Kairli TV, which is a Malayalam channel, where she was working at that time. This play is a one-act play, and this play discusses the travails, problems, and challenges of the fishing community in the age of globalization. It narrates how the impact of globalization became a strong reason for losing their deep knowledge on sea and also crushed livelihood of fisher folks. The playwright portrays the lives of the fishermen, their problems at sea, challenges at the fish market, and the threats that they have to face in the mechanized fishing motorboats and trawler nets in the backdrop of globalization. This particular play is a dramatic monologue. We have only a single character on the stage. A fisherwoman enacts on the stage and narrates her hardships to the audience. The title has a mythological reference. It's based on the character of Satyavati, who was the adopted daughter of a fisherman. She earned reputation as a holy woman later on. She became or she mothered Vyasa, and who was fathered by the wandering sage Parashara. Since she has this smell of fish, she was also known as Matsyaganddhi. But there is an element of irony in the story, as the pathetic lives of the fisherwoman or fisherman don't match that of Satyavati's life, who was later on, made into a holy woman. Apart from, in contrast to this, the life of fishermen are pathetic and tragic. So that is a kind of irony that we note with respect to the title. Now let's read the play. Matsyaganddhi by Sajitha Madathil. I couldn't find a PDF version of the text online, which is indicative of the fact that there might be copyright issues with respect to the text. Please turn on the closed caption tab so that you will get subtitles for this particular play. The stage is conceived of as a seashore, and the audience is the sea. The lighting creates a kind of deep underwater ambience. A fishing net is hanging from a peg. Peg means a hook. Stars and tiny fishes lie caught on it. A flat bottomed aluminum bowl, dried fish, and a face fashioned out of earth. A middle aged Arya woman in a kind of dream like frenzied state is seated here, and she speaks. So this is the stage arrangement. So the stage is conceived of as a seashore, and the audience is imagined as the sea, and it's to the audience or this particular sea that the Arya woman, the protagonist, the one who is to narrate all her travails and tribulations to us, is going to address. Gleaming silvery fishes flitting around. They murmur in tune with the rhythm of the sea, falling on my ears, and I keep talking to them like a mermaid. She turns breathless, then springs to her feet. A giant growing whale of a ship with a flag flying high, and she weeps terribly. At first, the growling came from within my chest, and then there were several ships growling, shattering my eardrums. Little baby fishes, terrified, scurried for shelter under my clothes. Scurried means to move hurriedly. So we have this particular character on stage, and she has started narrating to us some of the sights that she saw earlier, and how these sights, how these events have influenced her life, as well as everyone else's life on that particular show. So initially there was this big whale of a ship that came to the shore, and seeing that particular sight, a growling came from within her chest. Now this growling is indicative of the nervousness, the tension, the anxiety that the shore men and women felt on seeing this particular vessel. And following this huge ship, several other ships followed. All of a sudden, a huge net fell down upon us from the sky. Now, this net is the net of globalization. How they have been trapped in this particular event called globalization, especially the people on the seashore. The growling of the ships receded. Little baby fishes, now dead, kissed me on my eyes and lips, and I saw another face that was being kissed by the fishes, that of my Aryan, my man. Since then, I have never waited for fish on the seashore. So, as I said earlier, this particular character is about to narrate, or has already started narrating her, the trials and tribulations that she had to confront as part of her, you know, life with the fisher folk, or being a fisher woman. She lost her husband, that is what she just now narrated to us. She states that, and I saw another face that was being kissed by the fishes. So, amongst the dead fishes, there was also the body of her man, Aryan, her Aryan. You may be wondering what I am doing here on the seashore at this hour. Well, my husband is a fisherman, isn't he? And it's us women's job waiting for them to bring the fish, isn't it? Haven't you seen Chemin? It tells you for the Mukovas who go out to the sea to be protected by Kadalamma, the sea mother, the women have to remain chaste. So we have multiple references over here. We have a reference to a movie called Chemin, which is a classic as far as Malayalam cinema industry is concerned. And also we have a reference to this, Kadalamma, which is a mythological figure, whom the fisher folk trust. And she states a particular belief that is there among the fisher folk that the women they have to remain chaste, they have to remain morally pure if their men, if a particular arete is aryan has to return safely from the sea. The women, or the woman to be precise, has to remain chaste, to be morally pure. This would have gone off enough. You ask me where we can find any fish at this time, don't you? But when my stomach's on fire, how can I stay back in my hut? Where am I to go, leaving Kadalama and all my ancestors who roamed these shores? So, this particular character is gradually bringing us into the problems that were brought about by the event called globalization. She says, we have lost our livelihood. Where are we supposed to go, leaving our Kadalama and all our ancestors? What else can I do? How can the children of the sea live forgetting their mother? To find the place where the fishes are, you have to know the depth and the color and the smell of the sea. So, this is where the playwright discusses the various or the potential of the fisher folk, the kind of capabilities that they had, how they used to catch fish without the use of any technology, how they depended on Mother Nature as well as sea mother for their catch, for their livelihood. So she says, to find a place where the fishes are, you have to know the depth and the color and the smell of the sea. And to catch the fish, you have to look at the stars and the birds and the floating drone of the fish. So it's by analyzing all these elements, aspects that earlier their ancestors used to go for fishing and to catch fish. You need different kinds of fishing nets and different methods to catch different varieties of fish. I too have helped my mother to weave a net out of a cotton thread. And it's lovely watching someone fishing in a boat made out of a single block of wood on this shore. So these were some of the things that used to happen earlier. They used to, predict things by analyzing various elements and aspects of nature. They used to, they had this knowledge of various nets that needed to be used to go fishing, various methods or approaches they had to adopt to, get a good catch. So these people were rich with knowledge with respect to fishing. It's not like these new plywood boats we see now. My husband used to go out fishing in the evening, and he used to say he would be safe as long as Orion, the Great Bear, and the Southern Cross, these all are constellations, Southern Cross stood glowing in the sky. So this was his belief, her Aryan's belief, that as long as the Orion, the Great Bear, and the Southern Cross stood glowing in the sky, he would be safe. He was so good at fishing, when he came back home, there would be the smell of the fish on him, and the smell of arak too. Arak is alcohol. And now nothing remains but the sea wind and the smell of the fish. So now he has passed away. Now, as of now, we don't know how he died, but later on, this character would definitely narrate to us. But as of now, we have understood that he has passed away. And she says, "For you it stings." It here refers to the fish. "And for you it stings, right? Fish stink." And now she prepares to go out to sell fish. "Mole, fetch my bag, will you?" Mole is a Malayalam word and means daughter. "Mole, fetch my bag, will you? Amma has cooked some rice for you and kept it over there. See if you can get some fish for the curry from the beach. And take care of your little brother. Don't go out to play. Amma will be back soon. Yesterday, when I got back home, the kids had already gone to sleep." So she gives us hint regarding her family. She has a daughter as well as a son, and she asked the elder girl to take care of the household chores as well as her little brother. And she also, tells us that yesterday when she returned, it was late night and the kids had already slept. Now she is at the harbor. She says, "Today too there is nothing but Ayla and Mati." Ayla is mackerel and Mati is sardine. "People are supposed to eat something, right? I should pick and choose. Half of what I got in my basket yesterday was bad stuff, and you're supposed to pay up the interest on the debt promptly." So the kind of fish that she got yesterday was, little bit stale. It was bad stuff. And people would hardly buy these things from her. She knows that, and she says, "And you're supposed to pay up the interest on the debt promptly." Now, how will I be able to pay the interest promptly if I don't get good stuff? "Will it do if I pay up only half the money today?" "No, bastards. Hey, give me a hand here." Left home at 4 in the morning. It was already late by the time I reached the harbour. And later still by the time I managed in the din and bustle. Din and bustle means the commotion, the kind of disturbed atmosphere that you will confront if you are at the harbour. I managed in the din and bustle there to pay up and get some fish. And the price? Oh dear, fish cost so dear now. And then there is the money for wages, money for transport, money for ice and sodas. You can eat your fish fresh. So these are some of the expenses that she has to meet so that she can sell fish. She has to pay for the transportation. She has to pay for the ice and also for the sawdust, so that one can keep or she can keep the fish fresh. Next, we move on to a bus stop, and we see that because they get the stench of the fish, they wrinkle their nose as a as a reaction to her presence at the bus stop. She says, "And they say I stink. Fish stink. Going around selling fish, what else can I smell of? Jasmine. So I go around to make a livelihood. And to make that livelihood, I sell fish. So what else would I smell of? I would definitely smell of fish and not jasmine. These fellows, don't they have mothers and sisters? It's such a tough job selling fish. But when you have a plate full of fish on the dining table, it's so delicious, isn't it?" So you love a plate of fish when it's on the dining table, but you don't understand the kind of effort that many people invested to bring that particular plate onto the table. That is what she points out in this particular context. And she now is again at the bus stop, and a particular bus approaches, and she asks, "Will you stop at Palayam, son?" And but this particular bus doesn't stop there and it leaves, and she is angry for not letting her in. She says, "Son of a bitch, see, if you don't reach the market in time, it's such a hassle." Hassle means something which is annoying. "All the tidy spots will be taken over by those puffed up maids, and they can put on polyester shirts, spray themselves with perfumes, and go around in vehicles." These are some of the advantage that the men enjoy as far as the fishing community is concerned. So they can put on polyester shirts, they spray themselves, and also they move around in vehicles. But none of this luxury, with respect to the context, is not are not available for this particular woman. She again says, sons of bitches. And they sell it cheap, the fish. So all the regulars are after them. So since they sell the fish cheap, no, all the customers, regular customers will, go to them for purchasing. And what do we do but take whatever dirty spots are left, getting muffled up by the flies and bitten by the mosquitoes. So if you reach the harbor late, if you reach the place late, all the tidy spots will be taken up by these maids. And the only place that remain would be, the dirty spots. You have swimming pools and water parks and rain dance and what not all over the place. But look at this tap at the fish market, not a drop of water. So the rich people, they have luxuries like swimming pools. They go to water parks, and also they enjoy rain dance over there. Look at this, and she says, look at this tap here in this fish market, not a drop of water. Let our head and hands and breast smell of fish, not clean enough. So you say that we smell of fish. There is a stench of fish coming from us. We stink. We don't have a drop of pure water or good water in the market. Under the tap, the women tear at each other's hair for a drop of drinking water. And our men break our heads saying there is no water to drink. There is this double marginalization that, or the kind of deep, serious problem that they confront as a woman. They have to fight between each other. Women, they fight between each other for water, and also they get beaten by their husbands, saying that there is not enough water in the house. Do you think clean drinking water cannot go down our throats? Do you think we cannot take a bath in clean water? Fish stink, you say. It's a kind of set or sarcasm that she intends it. You say that we stink of fish, but we you don't even give us good water to take a bath or to even drink. Let me try the smell. Aye, this is not fish stink. Matsyaganddhi. So this is where we come into the story of Satyavati, the mother of Vyasa, and also the daughter of Vasu and Apsara. So this she says this is Matsyaganddhi. Don't you know the story of Satyavati, the Matsyaganddhi? She used to ferry people across the river in her little boat. One day, while she was paddling her little boat, a Muni, an old sage, got interested in her. They say he was fascinated by the way she smelt of fish. Matsyagendhi, you know. At last, he decides to have her in the boat itself, and he creates a canopy, a cover out of the thin blue mist. So the story behind this particular mythological reference is narrated by the character itself. She says that there was this ancient character called Satyavati who was called Matsyagendhi. She used to ferry people from one side of the river to the other side, and once there was this particular sage who wanted to cross the river. He became so enchanted by this particular character that he had an intercourse with her in the boat itself, and it's believed that that is how Vyasa was born. And to have this intercourse, he creates a canopy out of thin blue mist. So this is the mythological story that she alludes to. Like what? Like you remember how our Flory is an imaginary character, but is based on an event which happened at Thiruvananthapuram, which is a state in Kerala. Like you remember how our Flory was had by three such sages together near the Ullur market. The reference is to a rape which was committed by three men on a woman at a fish market in the public, and they didn't even need an excuse of a cover. Fish sting, you say. Phew. So she feels great disgust at this particular act of three men who raped a fisher woman. And she again makes a particular statement or reference here. Fish sting. You say fish sting. And this sting doesn't matter for all these cruel, evil activities. Do you hear the sound of the sea breaking? Are the sea dogs fleeing east? Is the sand on the shore shaking? My man had checked it all up before taking out his boat. No, no such thing. It was a clear day. So the narrator, the character, is going to narrate to us how her Aryan, her husband, met with death. So it was a completely clear day. The sky was clear, and they saw all good signs out there in the nature. My man, one who held the infinite sea in the palm of his hand. So he was an expert. He was adept in the act of fishing. One who paddled his boat and fished in tune with the seasons, in tune with the rhythm of the sea, into the depths of the waters, oblivious of the rhythm of the trawler nets scuttling around. So this is where we are given a hint at how he met with his death. He was aware about everything that was part of nature, but was not aware of the trawler nets which were scuttling around, which were there in the sea. There was a time when the sea was full of fish. Fish was less expensive too, and the children of the seashore were healthy. You didn't have to hunt for fish at the harbor and other markets. What you had at the shore here was enough and more. So she talks about the good old days when they were when the sea was full of fish and fish was less expensive, when the children on the seashore were really healthy, and you got a good catch and also a good earning by the end of the day. Gleaming silvery fish, fish that leapt off your hands. Amma would pick up some and sell them at far off markets, and we would wait for her to come back with her basket full of rice and vegetables and peas and chilies and bananas. So they used to get a good catch earlier. They used to sell it at the markets, and their mother, her mother, would come back with basket full of vegetables and provisions for the day. Labor had its rewards then. So labor had its rewards then, but not these days. And Kadalama used to protect her children. There were no motorboats screaming their way through, no trawler boats tearing open the bosom of the sea, and no foreign vessels dredging up Kadalama's womb. So all these, came as part of globalization. All these came to their shore. All these machines, all this equipment, came to their shore as part of globalization. If it had not happened, perhaps they would have still had a good catch, and finally, by the end of the day, they would have had a handsome remuneration in their hands. And so at the end of this particular high pitched monologue, she moves forward and light showers fall. There is rain. She unfurls an umbrella on which is printed God's own country and runs around among her neighbors, sharing the celebratory mood generated by the news of a harbor about to be built there. So we shift from one particular context to another. And right now, there is a discussion, there is this news that a harbor is going to be built on the shore. And now we hear there is going to be a harbor on this shore, that a lot of foreign ships will be there here, and it will be good for the people. That the people on the shore will get jobs at the harbor and at the big hotel that is going to come up here. Hearing it all, we too felt happy. So they were really excited at the beginning about listening, hearing the news about the harbor, which is soon going to be constructed on the shore. They believed that they would get jobs, that more tourists would come, and their life would better. Life would be better. And they say there is going to be a huge wall between the sea and the shore. So this is the problem that would arise when the harbor would come. There would be a huge wall between the sea and the shore. How then can we take our little boats out into the sea? So this is what will happen if the harbor would be constructed. They won't be able to go out into the sea because there would be a huge wall. Huge wall is indicative of the harbor. How can we do it when there is no sea out there? Don't we need to ride the sea and listen to the fishes chattering? Don't we need the shore to dry the fish? We buy from the market with the money borrowed under heavy interest rates. And where shall we keep our little boats? So if the harbor comes, if the harbor is constructed, if we are, taken away from the shore, how all this would happen? These events, these things which were like our routine, how all this will happen? If we go over to another seafront, will we ever get this sea of ours? So if we are being shifted to another shore, will we get this particular shore, which to which where our ancestors spend their life? And even if the whole sea is drained of fishes, even if the sea itself is gone, will this fish thing go? So, no matter what happens in their lives, no matter what progress, what developments happen on the seashore, no, they will always be labeled as fisher folk, fisher woman. That is the statement that she conveys through this particular dialogue. Even if the whole sea is drained of fishes, even if the sea itself is gone, will this fish stink go? Will ever this label be taken off us? No, that is the answer that we understand from this. Now that our Kadalama is being snatched away from us by the government, my only hope is this Matsyaganddhi, the smell of fish. To those who visit the seashore looking for a good time, I can offer not fish alone, but Matsyaganddhis too. So this is the final resolution that she comes to, the kind of solution that she discovers, or unfortunately finds, that she can offer herself and also others as well, to people who are trying to have a good time on the shore. I can offer not fish alone, but Matsyaganthis too, and a whole shore full of illiterate, fatherless little Vyasas. So again, the reference is to the Matsyaganthi, Satyavati, who mothered Vyasa. So our final resolution, the only way that we have out of our poverty, is to offer ourselves to the tourists, the foreigners, the people who come to visit the shore. And there will be a whole bunch of fatherless Vyasas on the shore. She laughs as if she is enjoying the joke, but then she sobs, she cries, and she throws away the umbrella and the aluminum bowl. What? What am I doing on the shore with my hair down? Is that what you are asking me? Can you bring back my man whose little boat was hit by a trawler vessel? So this is where we understand how her Aryan died. His boat was hit by a trawler vessel. Can you give their life back to the little fishes being slaughtered by the trawler nets, and then raise them and bring them over to my basket? So all those little fish, they are being killed by the trawler nets. Can you, bring them back to life? Can you bring my man back to life? No, no need to accept me by turning me into Kasturi. So in the story of Satyavati, we understand that the sage later on converted her Matsyaganthi into Kasturi. And right now she says, you don't have to convert me into a Kasturi. You say that Kadalama will be angry if a Mukkuva woman stands on the seashore with her hair unloosened. Yet another belief among the fisher folk. Well, then let my hair remain untied, unloosened. Let Kadalama grow into a rage. Let her break up all those trawler boats and foreign vessels. So she warns the Kadalama, the sea mother, their godmother, to be angry and to destroy all the trawler boats and foreign vessels, which are actually destroying not only the lives at sea but also the lives on the shore. Look, this stench doesn't come from my basket. It is the stench of the sea decaying. So this particular fish sting, it's not the sting that comes from me, but it's a sound, it's indicative. It's a sting of the sea decaying. It's indicative of the decaying of the sea. It is the stench of the little fishes being slaughtered by the trawler nets. It's the stench of the decaying dreams of Matsyaganthis. But for you, it's nothing but fish stink. And that is where this play ends. So I hope you have understood the play. If you have any queries or doubts to be clarified, kindly post them as comments under this particular video lesson. Thank you so much.